So good evening, everybody. Welcome to Together Rise's October webinar. I'm Sarah Powers. For you who've already heard, I'm sorry, but for anyone who's new and just came in, I am the communications coordinator at Together Women Rise. I've been here since about March, so still very fresh, but I'm learning a lot and meeting all you wonderful people, and I've been enjoying it so far. I'm going to be your moderator for tonight's event, and whether this is your first Rise event or you're a returning member, thank you so much for being with us this evening. We're so delighted to have you. So Together Women Rise is a powerful community of women and allies dedicated to achieving global gender equality. Together, we learn about and advocate for gender equality issues, give grants to organizations that empower women and girls in low-income communities in the global South, and build a community to forge powerful connections with each other and with women around the world. Our model is based on collective giving. By harnessing the power of coming together, all contributions are valued and make an incredible impact. If you're interested in supporting Together Women Rise or learning more, please visit our website at togetherwomenrise.org. So before we get started, here's a few Zoom reminders. Please keep yourself on mute while our speakers are presenting. There will be a Q&A section after the speaker, so please enter your questions in the chat function. I'll be reading them out later. I'll do my best to get to as many as I can, but in the interest of time, we may or may not get to them all. There's also closed captioning available for your use. Just go to your Zoom toolbar at the bottom and click on Show Captions in the language of your choice. Okay, so now it's time to turn to our program for the night. At these monthly webinars, you have the opportunity to learn about the challenges and issues faced by women and girls, as well as the important work that together we are funding. This month, we're focusing on the value of building girls' agency and power with She's the First. First, we're going to play a short video about She's the First, and then we'll have a conversation with our guest speaker, Kayla Pate.
Hello and welcome. My name is Minoti Amin, and I am a co-leader of a Together Women Rise chapter in Fremont, California, and a volunteer of Rise's Grants and Partnerships Committee, known as GPC. The GPC is a team of Rise volunteers responsible for reviewing, screening, and vetting the applications for our featured grants program. In October, we celebrate the International Day of the Girl Child, a day to recognize girls' rights and the power of girls everywhere. Every girl deserves to be respected and heard, but in many communities across the world, girls face significant barriers to achieving their basic human rights. Girls are often unable to get or complete their education, resulting in early marriage and pregnancy and potentially gender-based violence. We need to invest in programs that teaches girls to speak up, assert their rights, and make informed choices about their own lives. Our featured grantee for October could not align more perfectly with this goal and with that of the International Day of the Girl Child. Together Women Rise is awarding a $50,000 grant to support the mission and work of She's the First, which serves girls throughout the global South. She's the First trains girls as activists. Through mentorship and education programs, it teaches mentors and program leaders practical ways to support girls' agency. Over the past 14 years, She's the First has created transformational outcomes for more than 560,000 girls. These outcomes are transformational because the girls become the first in their families to reach amazing milestones. Because when a girl is educated, respected, and heard, she is unstoppable. Throughout this month, Rise is offering many ways to celebrate girls. Join our special webinar, Girls as Agents of Change, on Thursday, October 10th at 12 p.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific. Come hear the stories of girls from She's the First and tomorrow's women who are boldly taking action around the world to shift unfair gender beliefs and practices. You will also hear poet Ariana Lee perform an original poem written specifically for this event. October 11th is the International Day of the Girl, but it is also the third annual Give to Women and Girls Day. Did you know that less than 2% of charitable giving in the United States supports women and girls organizations? We need to change this. On this day, Rise will be launching our 2024 annual appeal, including a special matching opportunity for those who donate to Rise before the end of October. You can double your donation thanks to several generous donors. In addition, we are declaring the month of October as Bring Your Daughter to Rise month and encouraging you to bring your daughters, granddaughters, nieces, or any other special girl to your Rise chapter meeting or any other Rise event. Finally, don't forget our next book club event on October 29th, when we will discuss the book Radical Inclusion. There are so many ways for you to make a difference in the lives of girls this month. You can learn more about all of our events and initiatives on the RISE website at togetherwomenrise.org. Thank you for being a part of our community and enjoy this video from She's the First.
We dream of a world where every girl can choose her own future. Too often, girls are denied an education, told who and when to marry, and blocked from leadership. Worldwide, girls are treated as second to boys. Educated and respected girls are the exception, not the norm. This must change. That's why we put girls first. She's the First fights for a world where every girl can choose her own future. We team up with grassroots leaders to make sure girls everywhere are educated, respected, and heard. When a girl is educated, respected, and heard, she's unstoppable. Together Women Rise supports She's the First to teach girls around the globe how to speak for herself in her home, school, and community, while we teach the mentors in her life practical ways to support her agency. As a result, these girls become the first women in their families to achieve amazing milestones, and they're never the last. Girls like Yaneth, who is the first in her family to attend school beyond primary. There are no secondary schools within several hours' walk of her village. With the support of our partner Sacred Valley Project, She's the First and Together Women Rise, she is able to bridge the long distance to school by living in a safe dormitory for girls in the city center. There, she receives a school scholarship, nutritious meals, tutoring, and mentorship to support her journey.
Mi nombre es Yaneth Corimaña, yo tengo 15 años. Yo estoy en tercer grado de secundaria. Mis padres no tuvieron la oportunidad de estudiar y en los tiempos donde mis abuelos pensaron que el estudio no importaba, sino más en el trabajo, en negocios o dinero. Algunos papás pensaban que las mujeres no podían estudiar porque son mujeres, pero mis papás no pensaron de esa manera. Quiero demostrar a todos en mi comunidad que no solo los varones pueden estudiar, sino que las mujeres también podemos estudiar y podemos lograr muchas metas.
Everything we do as She's the First takes a girl-centered and anti-oppressive approach. We build the skills of women who run community programs for girls to create systems-level change that leads to stronger outcomes.
Nosotros, como organización, estamos convencidos de que las niñas son agentes de cambio. Ellas son una fuente esencial en el cambio transformador. Primero en ellas mismas y luego en sus familias, en sus hijos. Una mujer educada sabe que tiene voz, conoce sus derechos, sabe que puede elegir lo que quiere para su vida y no se contenta solamente por cumplir con patrones sexistas o de género que la sociedad espera de ella. La coalición de socios de She's the First es una alianza que mantienen con diferentes organizaciones de diferentes partes del mundo, brindando recursos para la educación de niñas. En nuestro caso, recibimos financiación, materiales y herramientas para trabajar con las niñas, sobre todo sobre autoestima, liderazgo, juegos sobre toma de decisiones, la Gaceta de la Niña, que es una revista donde las protagonistas son las niñas, entre muchos otros materiales. She's the First nos ha impulsado a diseñar mejores herramientas, nuestro plan de mentoría para las niñas. Siento que esto ha fortalecido mucho el servicio que le brindamos a las estudiantes. Gracias a las capacitaciones constantes, a nuestro equipo de trabajo, logramos detectar nuestras debilidades y también poner mucho mayor esfuerzo en mejorar. Hemos logrado que muchas niñas afiancen la confianza en ellas mismas, demuestren mayor determinación y autonomía a la hora de tomar decisiones.
Nos enseñan que las niñas también pueden ser algo más en la vida, ya pueden lograr varios sueños y nos enseñan todo tipo de esas cosas y también no sabía algunos derechos de las niñas, ya me pude enterar de parte del proyecto de She's the First. Ya sé que una niña o una mujer no solo sirve para una ama de casa, sino también hacer muchas cosas, tener sueños, tener metas.
How STF supports girls and women in Peru is just one example of our grassroots approach to address the specific issues girls face in their local communities. Through our Girls First Institute, we also provide tools for mentors to better engage girls in conversations about healthy relationships, like our What Will You Do card game. Our professional development for women leaders include coaching, feminist mentorship training, and workshops on designing their programs around the needs of girls. Thank you, Together Women Rise, for supporting She's the First and investing in the future of girls everywhere.
We are very pleased to have with us Kayla Pate. She's the development manager at She's the First. She's a passionate advocate for girls' rights, a mother and a first-generation college graduate. She earned her degree in gender studies, leadership, and communications from Hollins University in Virginia. Her fundraising career has focused on empowering women and girls, tackling issues like the school-to-prison pipeline for trauma-affected teens, supported women experiencing homelessness, and promoting girls' rights globally. So following my conversation with Kayla, there's going to be an opportunity for audience questions. So please put your questions in the chat and I'll try to get to them. All right. So Kayla, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. As you saw from our video, you have a wonderful organization and we're so excited to be supporting and partnering with you. As we saw from the video, you're teaming up around the globe with grassroots leaders to make sure that girls everywhere are educated, respected, and heard. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the organization was founded and how you determine which of the communities to work in?
Absolutely. First, I just want to acknowledge what a powerful room that I'm sitting in, and I'm so proud and honored to be here as a featured grantee this month. This funding will be catalytic for She's the First, so we are just so grateful for your support from wherever you are. She's the First was founded in 2009 as a social media campaign. Our founders, Tammy Tibbetts and Kristen Brandt, came together to acknowledge that girls' education was just not accessible enough around the world. They made a lot of stink about it. They got really loud on social media. It took off and it grew legs and kept walking beyond social media. It was created into a nonprofit. And now we've gone from providing individual scholarships to girls around the world to partnering with grassroots organizations to start affecting systemic change. So that's kind of our major evolution. We're about to celebrate our 15th anniversary, and we have a bold goal of serving 170,000 girls this year. And we are so grateful that you guys are a part of that.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's wonderful. So can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges you've been encountering in promoting girls' rights in communities where you serve? And then how has She's the First adapted your strategies to the response to these challenges? Because I imagine it's unique depending on what community you're in and what you're dealing with.
Exactly. Nail on the head. So as mentioned in the video from Florence, one of our team members who was the narrator, girls experience gender discrimination in all corners of the world. How that manifests and what that looks like looks really different for every single community. A girl in Peru or Nepal is going to have a different experience than a girl in Uganda. And so that's why grassroots programming is so core to our mission and to the way we work, because we know that the women on the ground are able to connect with girls and lift their voices up more effectively to create an impact and be sustainable. So that's how we make sure that the solutions we're implementing in each different community really works with the girls in that community, because we've trained those leaders to listen to girls' voices. And then we provide very flexible and predictable funding structures. We provide 3-year partnerships with the organizations that we research. We do a large interview application process to pick the organizations that we work with for years at a time to make sure that we're creating a sustainable impact that we can track on and on and on. So we really are looking for the best of the organizations that are ready to take the next level, ready to scale, ready to improve. But it's all about making sure we're listening to the girls' voices. So in Peru, it might be that they need a dormitory that's closer to the school, to the city center. In another country, it might be that we have to really work with local leaders to make sure harmful cultural practices aren't being implemented on the girls in that community to prevent them from attending school or being safe in their community.
That's wonderful. That's nice to hear like how you have to adapt to like different challenges, I imagine, of different countries, and like you've got all sorts of things going on. So it's really cool to hear that you really like listen to what the community needs and kind of address it that way. Um, so how do you then take this grassroots leadership program and integrate it into your programs? And like why is it important for girls to have a voice in shaping their own futures?
So it's important for girls to have a voice in shaping their own futures because girls are the experts. Girls know best what they need. Part of feminist mentorship, which is one of our pillar programs, is making sure that we are allowing girls to practice their own agency. So, not necessarily prescribing what we think they need to feel empowered and to reach their goals, but listening to them first and then helping them implement their solutions. So, for instance, one mentor that I've heard about um, had to talk with a girl to figure out that she needed to talk with her parents to be able to go to school, and she needed to have her voice heard from her parents. So training that girl to effectively communicate and advocate for herself so that after she talks to her parents to be able to go to school, the next barrier that comes up, the next person that gets in her way, she's ready to take that next step to with them. She's ready to have that conversation.
And then can you kind of talk more about how you're integrating the grassroots leadership throughout all of your programs that you're working on and what that kind of looks like?
Absolutely. So all of our programs are networked within the Girls First Institute. It's our girl-centered education hub, academy, and there are different levels to being involved. So the Girls First Network is an online community where you can reach out to other girl organization leaders to talk about what solutions you're implementing, what challenges you face, and you can kind of crowdsource ideas, have support, know about funding opportunities that are out there. Our partner coalition is probably our deepest dive into grassroots organizations because it's where we have our 15 nonprofits that we work with to provide professional development, curriculum, flexible funding, any sort of tools that we can offer them. We meet with them on a regular basis on one-on-one coaching as well as a group because community is so much a part of women's lives. So connecting the organizations to each other is also a really, really valuable resource for us. So that's one aspect. And then we also have our Girl-Centered Incubator. That's a program where we work with young women who are trying to start girl-centered nonprofits in their communities. So one thing that we're really proud of is 2 of our graduates of that program were girls that were in our original scholarship program. So they've worked with partners that we've had in the past. They came up through that education system, and now they're founding their own organizations, implementing their own solutions around menstrual health and hygiene and transportation barriers to get to school for girls in her community. So we're building up new organizations and we're working with existing ones to be better. And the goal being that there are girl-centered organizations in every community. So any girl can turn around and find a mentor in her life who's ready to help her get to the next step.
Incredible. It's so wonderful to hear too. Like they're moving on and then and coming back and bringing their own expertise and building their own like networks and nonprofits and stuff like that. That's really wonderful to see kind of like the full journey. Um, so kind of leading into that, can you talk a little bit about like how you're seeing the impact of these mentorship programs on the girls overall and their well-being and their agency? And then can you share more in depth a little bit one of those success stories with the audience?
Absolutely. So, one of my favorite success stories that I just learned about is Ria. She works with our partner program, Sahas in India, and she's 17 years old. Ria was in 10th grade when she passed the board exams for 10th grade, which was absolutely amazing. She did it with flying colors and she got promoted to 12th grade, which was huge for her. But when she showed up for school at 12th grade, there was no teacher for her. In her community, a lot of times girls were enrolled in school without really any intention to actually educate them. So they often wouldn't hire teachers, or if they did hire teachers, they wouldn't show up to teach them. So she ended up attending an after school program with Sahas, our partner. And through that program, she was able to be heard. She was able to share her issues, what was going on, keeping her from pursuing her education. And Sahas hired a teacher. Simple as that. They have flexible funding, they have capacity. They were able to hear her and realize that it wasn't just her who's being affected, it was many girls in the community. And they hired a teacher to work with girls to study for their board exams. Since then, Ria passed the 12th grade board exam. So she's going to be able to go to college. She got into college and she's pursuing a Bachelor of Arts. And that was because she was able to be heard. Our mentor program in Sajas, we're able to talk with her parents to help empower her to talk to her parents for them to support her goals of education. And it's just removing these barriers that get in her way. The idea that someone would be enrolled in school and not have a teacher sounds wild, I think, to a lot of us, but it's a reality that a lot of girls are facing. Can you repeat the first half of the question?
No problem. And kind of talk a bit about like how you're measuring the impact. Like I know you have like wonderful success stories, but can you kind of talk about like the trends that you're seeing and maybe like some examples of the kinds of things like the skills the girls are building or how that's kind of affecting them in other ways as they're growing in this agency?
Absolutely. So we measure impact in a lot of ways that I'm sure you're really familiar with. Our focus groups, our baseline and inline story studies, surveys, etc. But one of our favorite ways to measure the impact is through our one-on-one coaching calls, where we hear directly from the program leaders what's working, what's not, what are the success stories, what are the pain points. And that's one of the stories that came out of one of those one-on-one calls with Sajas. Um, I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear my daughter singing happy birthday. She's 3, so it's uncontrollable. But it comes down to communicating regularly with these organizations. One of my favorite statistics that we've heard from one of our partners, Arlington Academy of Hope, is that through our sexual and reproductive health education curriculum and helping them implement a stronger program in that aspect, they've helped reduce teen pregnancy in their program by 85%. That is wild. Yeah. Wild. And because those girls are avoiding teen pregnancy, they're able to choose their futures. They're able to decide if they want to go to school, if they want to delay marriage, if they want to launch a career. Those are the kind of choices that are opened up when girls aren't limited by teen pregnancy in an area that doesn't necessarily support it, that doesn't have resources to advocate for those girls to keep going in school or whatever their dreams are. Let's see. And then the other aspect of that question was, can you repeat one more time?
I think you kind of hit on it where you talked about a success story and then like all the different ways that you're measuring this impact. And it's incredible to hear not only like, you know, like we're looking at like stats and stuff like that, but also just like those one-on-one calls and like what's coming out of there, all these incredible stories and just like getting to meet with the girls and hearing their story. That is incredible. And that kind of like shifts into my next question for you. We're kind of talking about this like ripple effect. So we're talking about like the shifts that we're starting to see in these girls, but can you talk a bit about how this has an effect on their families and their communities, our cultural sets like shifting around gender equality, our fathers being supportive, our male members of families and whatnot, or are you seeing like maybe moms getting more involved in some way? So can you kind of talk about like how you're seeing this ripple effect then happen for these girls and their families and communities?
Absolutely. That's one of the most beautiful parts of our program. Because we're working with grassroots leaders, they really understand the cultural landscape that they're working with in their own personal community. So for one of our partner organizations, Mashana Empowerment Curia, they're really focused on ending gender based violence in the form of female genital mutilation. That's one of their big issues in their community. And so part of that was not just talking to girls and dispelling some of the myths around that issue. It's also talking to the families. It's talking to the women who are in charge of these ceremonies. And so now they work with a group of women who used to be cutters, who used to be involved in the practice of FGM and are now advocates against it to protect girls in their community. So that's the ripple effect. It's you take a girl, you allow her to, or you empower her to use her voice. She talks to her family, you talk to her family, and you're able to keep going until leaders of the community are listening and really understand the harmful practices they might be engaging in and hinder girls' health, hinder girls' safety, and keep them from really achieving their goals. So it is really beautiful how well the grassroots leaders know their communities and are able to really engage them.
That's incredible. I mean, not only just hearing like what's happening with the girls' lives, but also that not only having like this impact on your community, but people maybe who were like very directly engaging in sometimes harmful practices, like having a 180 and just like how impactful that is. And like, it's incredible just to see like the work that you're doing in all these different communities. So like looking forward, what sort of new initiatives do you maybe have in the pipeline? Or are there partnerships that you're excited about, or anything else that you kind of want to share with the group that you're excited about in the future to enhance girls' rights and education and agency?
I think one of the most exciting programs that we have is the Girl-Centered Incubator that promotes young women leaders to start their own initiatives in their communities. So we just graduated 6 fellows from that program who have 6 organizations all over the globe who are helping girls that they know. One of those women, Cynthia, she used to be a part of one of our other partner programs. Now she's grown, she's gone to college, she's gotten her master's, she's founded her own organization, which is focused on menstrual hygiene and health for girls and reproductive rights. She actually just did a training for 20 other CBO leaders or community-based organization leaders to train them on menstrual health and hygiene education programs for girls in their community. So that's the impact is she came through our programs, she was educated, she's founded an organization, now she's educating other leaders on how to implement this. And it's so huge because in so many corners of the world, a period is a death sentence for school. It means you have to stay home. It's not understood. It's seen as dirty. And so dispelling these myths and offering resources to girls, pads and products that they need to stay in school, it opens so many doors for them. So that's, one of the most exciting things I think about that organization and about our Girl-Centered Incubator program is filling this pipeline. So again, every girl has someone to turn to.
Mm-hmm. So you've said a lot of like really wonderful, inspiring things. So like maybe this is an easy question for you, but one of the questions I always like to ask is like, what gives you hope for the future? Because sometimes when we're dealing with these really big issues across the globe with gender equality, and sometimes you're seeing these numbers going out, saying that like it's going to take, almost a century for women to finally like have equality. What is the thing that gives you hope at the end of the day, that really like inspires you to keep going, even when, things aren't looking always the greatest? That makes sense.
Well, first of all, it's being in rooms like this, being in a room of women who are dedicated to creating change, who are doing something about it. And I got to experience that in a big way also when I attended our annual Girls First Summit in Kenya. And I got to be in a room filled with 200 community leaders, women who are doing something in their community, who are going home and protecting girls and lifting up their voices. And that was so, so moving to know that when we're hearing so many terrible things about what's going on with girls and women globally, but also in the United States, that to look around and to see so many women who are standing up and saying, not in my community, I'm going to do something. I'm here for solutions and I'm ready to implement them. That is so powerful to me. We host that summit every year. And the year before, we had done a poll and we had learned that for 70% of the women that we were touching, they were saying they did not have professional development opportunities like this. They didn't have an opportunity to learn about girl-centered programs, feminist mentorship, girls' rights and leadership. And so by offering this program, we were opening a door for them and they're going to go home and train other women. We expanded this year to Uganda. So we held 2 conferences and we worked with 160 women leaders. And we purposely chose women leaders who had never attended the conference before to expand our reach. So it's just knowing that there is this well of women that we can choose new women because there are so many women who are ready to learn and ready to implement solutions for girls and raise their voices. So that gives me so much hope every day, knowing that they're out there and they're doing this work.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. That's very inspiring. So everybody in the audience, we have time for a lot of audience questions. So please put it down in the chat and I'll read them off. But while you guys are thinking, Keela, can you talk a bit about maybe how you got involved in the organization and like what inspired you to join and how it led you here?
So I have a funny story. I'll tell you. I remember being in my, 11th grade publications class, and we had to do an article on an article. And it was about She's the First. It was in a 17 magazine or Teen Vogue or something that I had read and learned about She's the First, learned about the founders, Tammy Tibbetts and Kristen Brandt. And so I'd been a long time follower of She's the First in the work and the evolution from raising money for scholarships through tie-dye cupcakes to today, investing so heavily in grassroots organizations that reach so many thousands of girls. I joined, let's see, a year and a half ago, the team as a development manager. And before that, I was with another organization that focused on, like you said, the school to prison pipeline for girls who had experienced trauma, and then women in homelessness and poverty. And so when this door opened with She's the First, I ran at it because I'd been following She's the First for so long, and it felt just like the right moment at the right time. So I've been really, really proud to be a part of this since I followed it for, over a decade. But it's been really powerful for sure to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's some crazy fate to like be so involved in like learning about it, and something actually opened up and it was just meant to be. That's wonderful to hear. It looks like we have one question in the chat so far from Colleen. She said, very exciting work you're doing. Thank you. And then she wanted to ask, what are some of the critical elements you look at when deciding which organization to work with? And she said, I'm sure there's lots of options.
Yeah, so we have a ton of applications when we do an open call for organizations to work with. So it is a pretty difficult process. I think we had maybe 300 applications before. And we take 15. So there's a lot to look through, but it's organizations that are ready to scale. It's organizations who understand feminist mentorship and are ready to lift up girls specifically, because girls need specific solutions sometimes. And organizations who elevate women leaders, because we know that women understand girls' experiences and will listen to them. So that's really, really critical for us.
Thank you. So I have another question from Beverly. First, she wanted to say very inspiring work. And you talked a little bit about this, but if you could tell us more about how you're working with men and boys and educating them about harmful practices, and then what has been the results of that work so far?
So our programs are focused on girls and women, but it doesn't stop there. It always trickles over. One of the things that was really exciting to me this year is we expanded our chapters program. It used to be that a girl had to be in a school to start an STF chapters program. An STF chapters program is a club that promotes girls' rights and advocacy. And we recently this year changed it so that any girl anywhere who can get an advisor and get a space to meet can have one of these clubs and can learn about girls' rights, can learn about using her voice. And we had our first chapter in South Africa start. And that chapter was started with a girl and her father. Her school had denied her application. They didn't support girls' rights. They didn't support what we were putting forward with our curriculum for STF chapters, but he did. He saw it and understood it, and he offered an office space to her so that she could meet with the girls in her community to have their chapter. And so just recognizing that there are male allies out there, providing opportunities for them to get involved. We have men on our board, which we value so much. And we have men in our programs too, in our partner programs. We've had male attendees at our Girls First Summit who know to sit back and listen and be ready to learn about what they can do.
That's awesome. So I have another question for you. So a lot of our audience members, I'm sure, are, like lifelong members, but I'm sure we have some new people here too, and are maybe looking for ways to get involved, or maybe they're hearing about gender equality for the first time and thinking like, hey, like, what can I do? There's a lot going on. So other than, supporting She's the First and Together Women Rise, do you have any advice for anyone looking to get involved? Like some small, tiny, actionable steps, maybe about that someone could take for gender equality or getting involved in this work, or just like starting out, like where would you point them to?
So the first place I would point them is the Girls Bill of Rights. So if you go to like girlsbillofrights.org or Google Girls Bill of Rights, you will come up with the Girls Bill of Rights, and there will be 12 rights there that girls themselves wrote together from all over the world and decided that these are the things that they care about. These are the things that they need to have agency and feel free and reach the potential that we all know that they have. Sign the Girls Bill of Rights and validate their voices. That's huge. You can also go to whatgirlswant.com. That is a huge initiative and campaign that has been supported by many, many girls' rights organizations here in the US. And it's all about girls being experts in their own experience and telling global leaders what they need. So hear them. They put this information out there for you, and we need to validate them and share what they have to say. Because if people can be more aware of what girls need, we can start to create some actionable change.
Thank you. That's wonderful resources. Appreciate that. There's a couple I hadn't heard of yet, so I'll have to check those out. So Quinn sent us a question. She said, first, thanks so much. You're very inspiring. So can you tell us a bit about how you keep all the organizations connected and what additional education offerings are afforded to them after they've graduated from your programs or trainings?
So we have our Girls First Network. That is an online community that anyone who's working with a girls-centered org can join, and they can communicate directly with other women leaders, other girl-centered organization leaders about the challenges they're facing, the resources they have, grant opportunities or funding opportunities they may know of, or training opportunities. It really is a wealth of resources for people who want to make change in the girls' rights space. Other than that, we also have a girls advisory council where girls can join. We have 72 girl advisory council members right now. We have a girl activist fellowship for young girls. If there is a girl in your life who is between 13 and 22, you will have that opportunity open shortly. And it's a year-long fellowship where girls learn to create advocacy campaigns for girls' rights. And that is a global opportunity available to any girl in any space in the world. So those are a couple ways that girls can get involved. We also have our girl-centered incubator. So after a girl graduates her program, she receives her education and decides that she wants to start a girl-centered organization, and wherever she is now for solving whatever problems she sees or hears from girls, she can apply for our girl-centered incubator. And that also comes with flexible funding, one-on-one training, coaching, and group training as well to help them make sure their organization is actually sustainable and creating the impact that they've set out to create.
Exciting. That's wonderful. You have so many wonderful programs. You're doing so much. I can't believe how much your organization accomplishes, and it's really impactful work too, and all over the globe. I'm going to do a last call for questions in the chat, but if you can think of anything, Kayla, that maybe we haven't covered or that you wanted to share that maybe I didn't get the chance to touch on at all, otherwise I can move to announcements.
I think just thank you. I mean, these programs are so important. There's so many women who are doing this work, and receiving this grant was so much validation, I think, for my entire team and the organizations that we work for, that the solutions that we're offering are seen and real and they matter. Less than 2% of philanthropic dollars goes to girls organizations. I'm sure you know. So to be seen in this way is big and rare. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, wonderful. All right. If there's no more questions, I just kind of want to wrap up with some last remarks. So as a reminder, Together Women Rise depends on your donations to support grants like those provided to She's the First, and to provide a wide variety of learning and engagement opportunities, including these webinars. You can donate by going to togetherwomenrise.org and clicking on the donate link. So coming up on October 11th, we're going to be celebrating International Day of the Girl Child, which is recognized by the UN, as well as Gift to Women and Girls Day. As we said before, there's less than 2% of all philanthropic support goes to women and girls, and we're hoping to change that. So we're also launching our annual appeal on that day with a very special matching opportunity. So donations made from October 11th to 31st, we matched up to $100,000 by some generous donors that we have. So thank you. Our annual appeal funds all of our grants, our partnerships, our learning community building programs, and our goal this year is to raise $500,000 from our annual appeal. So contributions can be made through donations, by peer-to-peer fundraising, hosting events, and every single dollar directly benefits our grants and partnerships. So thank you for everyone who attended this evening, and we welcome you to come to more of our events. So as we mentioned, we're International Day of the Girls coming up. And on October 10th, we'll be having a special webinar, which is called Girls as Agents of Change, featuring inspiring panelists sharing their stories of resilience and action through peace building, climate justice, and eliminating gender-based violence. And one of our speakers is actually going to be a girl who went and worked with She's the First, Ariadna, I believe, from Chile. So less than 1% or 2% of our philanthropic support goes to organizations that dedicated to women and girls, as we mentioned. And we're hoping that you'll join us on Friday, October 11th. We will also be working with groups to have a Gift to Women and Girls Day historical event at the New York Historical Society. So with our partners, we're going to raise awareness about funding, and you can attend either in person or live stream. You can check it out on our upcoming events page. Join our advocacy group with results at their monthly meeting coming up on October 15th. And on October 29th, join us for a speaker from Equality Now, who's going to be discussing our book club selection, Radical Inclusion by David Senga. And he's going to talk about Senga's inspiring journey to challenge the policy banning pregnant girls from schools in Sierra Leone. So learn how you can be an advocate for gender equality and inclusive systems by coming to our book club. All right, so you can find all of this information on our website. Go to togetherwomenrise.org, click the Join Us tab, and then upcoming events where you can see all these events, register for them, and check out the recordings of our past events. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. We hope to see you at a future event. So have a good night, everyone.